In Jquery, the Animate method performs a custom animation of a set of CSS properties. This method changes an element from one state to another with CSS styles. The CSS property value is changed gradually to create an animated effect. Only numeric values can be animated, such as margin being 30 pixels. String values cannot be animated, such as when you're setting the background color to blue or red or something like that. So here's the basic syntax here. So first you're going to have your element selection, and then it's going to be .animate, and then you're going to pass in your properties, your CSS properties that you want to change, and then there's three optional things you can pass in: the duration, easing, and complete. That's just a callback function that it calls when the animation is complete. And there's also another syntax, this one where you pass in the properties just like before, and then you pass in the options. This is just a JavaScript object you pass in with various key value pairs for different options. This just allows you to have a little more control than the first method because there's a lot of different options you can pass in. Almost all the options have to do with calling a callback function at various points in the animation. If you want more information about the options you can use for that, you can check the link in the description. So let's look at this example down here. Well, first of all, on our page we just have the run button and the hello div block, and then I just have some basic CSS in here to style things. Our JavaScript down here, we're going to select the go button, and we're going to add a click function. So on click, it's going to run this function here. Now inside the function, we are going to select the block, which is the hello block, and we're going to run .animate. The first thing we pass in is the properties. We have some key value pairs that show the CSS properties we're going to animate. Over the course of the animation, it's going to put all these CSS properties to this value. So it starts at opacity 100%, but we're going to set it to 50%. So it's going to start at 100% and gradually go to 50%. Here, margin left. Now, just so you know, on CSS it would be margin dash left, but in Jquery you take off the dash and then you capitalize the first letter of the second word. So you can see we use a slightly different thing. Instead of margin left 50, it's margin left plus equals 50. So it's just going to add 50 pixels to whatever the margin already was. For the opacity, it's always going to go to 50%. And then height, it's also going to go to a specific thing, 400 pixels. And then the next item you pass in is the duration. So I pass in 3000, that's 3000 milliseconds or 3 seconds. Then we pass in easing. Easing is either going to be swing or linear. Swing is the default, so if you don't pass in anything here, it'll just be swing, or linear. So linear just moves at a constant rate. Swing kind of eases in a little bit to the beginning and the ending. And then the complete, that's the callback function we're going to add at the end, which we are going to select this, which is the div block that we're animating, and after that we're going to add another HTML code. We're going to add this animation complete div. So let's see what this is going to look like. Hit the run button, and you can see the opacity changes, the margin left changes, the height changes, and then the animation complete runs at the bottom. Now let's see what happens when I hit the run button again. So as you can see, the opacity did not change, the height did not change, but the margin left changed when I pressed the run button again. That's because we have this plus equals 50, so it just adds 50 to whatever the value was. But the other values are just set, so it's not going to change those things. And you can see it added the animation complete div at the end again, so there's two of them. Now I'm going to take off this easing one, so it's going to default to swing. So let's see what that looks like. It's just a little different. So you can see just at the beginning and ending of the animation it's a little slower. Now I'm just going to actually change this animation to show you how you can chain animations. So I'm just going to get rid of all this, and then I'm going to do .animate. We're going to set the width to 90%. I'm just going to copy this and then paste it a few times. We're going to change the font size. So now you can see I've chained these animations. So we're going to change the width, then the font size, then the border left width. Let's see what that looks like. So you can see it ran one animation after the other when you just chain them by adding .animate and then putting the next animation there. And obviously within each animation you can animate more than one property, but this is just an example with one property. Okay, that's the basics of the .animate method in jQuery. Again, check the link in the descriptions for the other options you can use to pass in, which are mainly about different callback functions you can use at various points in the animation. My name is Bo Carnes. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and remember, use your code for good.